If you were to go to the ranch house in South and you walk in, you see this on the left, just as you walk in, Ronald Reagan and Lenny like this.
Gone.
You had to work on something.
And a new dawn. Or something. Ever the tough cold warrior, in January 1981, just a year after taking office, President Reagan announced to the Soviet Union that they have publicly declared that the only morality they recognize is what will further their cause, meaning they reserve unto themselves the right to commit any crime, to lie, to cheat, in order to attain that. And that is moral, not immoral, and we operate on a different set of standards. I think when you do business with them, even at a détente, you keep that in mind. This tough cold warrior would soon have a profound impact on the Soviet Empire. In March of 1983, the president ramped up his Cold War rhetoric against the Soviet Union, calling it in front of the Association of Christian Evangelicals the evil empire. Word spreads as the new Soviet premier takes mark of Reagan's words, and even in the deepest Soviet prisons in Gulag Labor Camp 35, Anatoly Sharansky hears the news and said someone has finally spoken the truth. In August of 1984, the president had a little Cold War faux pas, as unwittingly in front of an open microphone, he remarked, in jest, that my fellow Americans, I'm pleased to tell you that today I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes. This put the Soviets on red alert, but maybe just brought him and Gorbachev closer together, ironically, in the future. Time would soon pave the way for changing events. No, not the magazine, but the demise of Soviet General Secretary Yuri Andropov, former KGB agent. After his passing, a new era of new leadership that would allow Reagan to make massive global far-reaching changes would take place, unknown to anybody at that time. Upon the demise of Andropov, Reagan said that he wants to negotiate with Soviet leaders, but, quote, they keep dying on me, end quote. Hoping to take advantage of the new change in Soviet leadership, Reagan sent Secretary of State George Shultz to meet with Mikhail Gorbachev. Shultz went to the Reagan Ranch in April 1987 to report to the president that it is possible that arms negotiations could bear fruit. Reagan says to the press, "It is my hope that the process now underway continues to move forward and that Mr. Gorbachev and I can complete an historic meeting on East-West relations at a summit meeting." Yuri Andropov's replacement, Konstantin Chernenko, was not the man Reagan was looking for. When Chernenko left and Mikhail Gorbachev assumed power in the Soviet Union as their new leader, a new type of leader, Reagan saw the opportunity to develop a wonderful and growing personal relationship with a man who would also be responsible for doing away with the Soviet Union. Reagan describes Gorbachev as a new kind of leader, saying that he firmly believes that the tide of history is moving away from communism into the warm sunlight of human freedom. In another step towards creating a diplomatic opportunity with Gorbachev, whom Reagan would become very close friends with, Reagan gave a speech, including an American civics lessons to students at Moscow State University, while a statue of Lenin glowered above the president. Reagan told the students that life itself is not earned but a gift from God, and to seek to share that gift with the world. A real tour de force by the president-turned-professor, remarked Gorbachev. I think it may have been his finest oratorical hour, tongue-in-cheek, yet indicative of a growing fondness, an interpersonal relationship that would transform the world by eventually ending the Soviet Union. In 1987, Reagan rolls the dice, takes the gamble, and seizes the opportunity in front of the Brandenburg Gate in Waldorf, West Berlin, separating it from the communist East Side. Reagan calls upon Mr. Gorbachev If you seek liberalization, come here to this gate, Mr. Gorbachev. Open this gate, Mr. Gorbachev. Tear down this wall. The words would echo and reverberate around the world. 1 year later, at the Moscow summit, Reagan would make a request to Gorbachev in person, and Gorbachev says that he cannot agree with the president's view, but history would be the ultimate judgment. November 9th, 1989, Mr. Gorbachev tore down that wall. East Germany was freed from Soviet domination and is now a part of a free and prosperous democratic Germany and a member of NATO.